It had been a long day at work, and I was driving home. The sun had already set, and the buildings in the distance looked like they were holding twinkling stars. I was dreading going back home. I knew my husband, Austin, wouldn't be happy about me reaching home so late. I tried to ignore the thought and then rolled the windows to enjoy the soft evening breeze. I parked my car and groaned as I saw Austin staring right at me through our living room window. I hated arguing with him, and after his promotion, my job had become a hot topic for our fights. So late, Penny. I put my bag down and took off my heels and mumbled, "I'm sorry." "You need to start coming home early. I'm starving." "Why didn't you just cook yourself something?" "Do you realize how exhausted I am? Work was super busy." He sat down on the couch, laid back and closed his eyes. "Let's just order something." Work was hectic for me too today. I sat down opposite him. "No way. I need to eat healthy. I have so much more work now that I'm coordinating a team." "Austin, it's just one day." I don't need these excuses. I want to have a home-cooked dinner right now. I've told you before. You can quit. I want myself a Okay. I didn't want to indulge in an argument with him right after work. I dragged myself to the bedroom and changed. I went to the kitchen and started preparing some fried chicken. Most of the utensils were unwashed from our morning breakfast. Austin could have at least washed them while I wasn't home, but I didn't want to complain and end up in another round of argument. I sat for dinner quietly. I was exhausted. Austin took a few bites of the food. "Are we out of salt?" I stared at him, narrowing my eyes as he was shaking the salt shaker violently. "Weren't your hands working?" He looked up at me, raising an eyebrow. "You left all the utensils in the sink unwashed." "Let's not do this, Penny. You know how demanding my job is now. I can't do all this meager household. I've acquired a new client. I was thinking of inviting him for dinner on Friday night. It's good to have personal ties to all these important people." I nodded as he carried on. "He's a famous businessman. Nobody except me was able to convince him until now. It's a major win for our company. I always knew I was made for bigger things. I'll need you to take a day off on Friday. With this incompetent cooking." He pointed at our dinner. "You need a lot more time to impress our guest." "Why do I need to impress him with cooking? You can just order food. I have an important meeting on Friday." "Well, cancel it. Come on, Penny. You're working in HR. It's just your 20 employees. I'm sure they'll understand." "I'm not canceling anything." "Penny, it's Landon Crux. This isn't just for me. It's good for us. Maybe he will give you a better job and I'll stop expecting you to drop your important work for me." "Landon Crux." Don't you know? He's a famous upcoming businessman. His company has been growing exponentially. You won't understand all this, Penny. Networking is important." "Since it's so important to you, I'll take a leave." "That's my girl. We are going to be great together if you keep listening to me like this. Perhaps you focus on agreeing rather on arguing about all this. You know I'm always right. And I'm always to do what's best for me. Us." I nodded at him and got up, picking up the utensils. I washed the utensils and cleaned the kitchen while he watched TV. When I came up to the living room, I heard him snoring softly with the TV on. I switched off the TV and went to our bedroom to sleep. I didn't wake him up for the fear of having to listen to his long, excruciating self-praise. I fell asleep instantly in my exhaustion. I woke up suddenly as Austin called out for me loudly. When I opened my eyes, he was standing next to my bedside, towering above me in anger. "My neck is all strained. Why didn't you wake me up?" "Well, I thought you were watching TV." "You thought? Well, thanks to you, I'm in all pain. I'll need you to make me some breakfast. I have to get to the office." Austin's office started an hour before mine. Lately, he had been trying to wake me up for his breakfast. Somehow, his new promotion had entitled him to cooked and served meals. "Austin, I'm half asleep." "Well, chop chop." I pulled the blanket over my head, attempting to sleep again, but I instantly felt a jerk as he pulled off my blanket. "I asked you to do something." What is wrong with you? I sat up, rubbing my eyes.
Pen, my neck is strained because you couldn't care enough to wake me up and have me sleep in bed instead of the couch. So now I need you to make me some eggs.
Is your neck really that bad?
Yes.
I got up and freshened up in the washroom. I went to the kitchen and made him some eggs and coffee. I kept the plate and cup in front of me and left to get ready for work. My mind floated in different directions as I was in the shower. I had begun to question this whole marriage. It was unfair of Austin to expect me to work like a maid for him. I didn't even feel like discussing anything with him, as he had started acting so entitled. Every conversation would turn into an ugly argument. I needed to end this, but in a way that actually taught him something. I was eagerly waiting for Friday, and thus it had taken it longer to arrive. I had taken a leave from work. I woke up early that morning to get Austin breakfast in bed. He was pleasantly surprised and couldn't stop talking about how I was behaving the right way. When he left for work, I went shopping to prepare a huge 3-course meal for important guests. I did some makeup and got dressed in one of my best outfits. The bell rang and I rushed to open it. Austin smiled at me as he saw me, and the stranger next to him widened his eyes in surprise.
Penny!
He gave me a long hug. I could see Austin narrow his eyes at Landon Crux's unusual behavior.
I'm so glad to see you.
How long has it been?
7 years? My God, you are as beautiful as you were back then, if not more. Why didn't you mention your wife's name, Austin? I didn't think it was important. How do you both know each other?
Well, it's a long story. Why don't you come in? I moved aside to let them into the house. Austin raised an eyebrow as he went past me. I had cleaned the house and made slight adjustments to the decorations. The house looked cleaned and well decorated.
Well, isn't this a lovely home, and the food already smells amazing, Penny? Thank you, Mr. Crux. Oh, Austin, no, it's Landon for you. After all, you're Penny's husband.
I remember how much you love fajitas.
Oh, of course you do. This is going to be a great evening. How do you both know each other again?
Well, Landon was my boyfriend in high school.
Oh, she had me smitten. I'm sure you know the feeling. You're a lucky man, Austin, to have such a wonderful wife. Yes, of course I am. Aren't you married, Mr. Crux? Landon? Oh yes, my wife is on a business trip in Italy, but I'm sure we will see each other again. She will be more than happy to see Penny.
The dinner went smoothly. Austin looked irritated throughout, but he didn't say anything. Landon and I had a lot to catch up on. We laughed and chatted about everything in the past and the present. He was happy to know that I was working as an HR. He also told me that the company I'm working for is soon going to grow, and I should keep investing my time in it. I was already way past our bedtime when Landon left. We exchanged our numbers and we promised to keep in contact. As soon as we shut the door behind him, Austin was suddenly enraged. He pulled my arm and turned me to face him.
What the hell was that?
What? My question seemed to have piqued his anger even more. He raised his hand and slapped me. He held my shoulder and shook them while screaming into my face.
Flirting with another man in front of me? How dare you?
His slap had stunned me. I stared at him with my eyes red. Flirting? He's just an old friend.
Old friend, really? You didn't mention any of this when I told you I was inviting Landon Crux. What? You've been sleeping with him, haven't you? While his wife is away on some trip. You two have been meeting secretly.
He raised his hand again as I shut my eyes. Before his hand touched my cheek, we heard a knock. Austin peeked into the peephole and straightened up his clothes. He looked at me and brushed my hair from my face. He opened the door to Landon, standing outside, staring at him. He extended his arm towards me, and without thinking, I took it.
What are you doing? I saw everything, Austin. Your windows don't have curtains. Now I'll be taking Penny with me, and if you want to avoid any damage to yourself,
Landon signaled to his bodyguards.
You'll let us leave peacefully.
Landon and I left together, and he helped me file a case against Austin at a police station. He also registered himself as a witness. I asked him to drop me at my sister's house, and he did. I won the case against Austin easily. With all the proof in Landon's influence, we were able to wrap up everything quickly. I was also able to divorce Austin before the trial had even ended. I had always thought that Austin was a bit unmatched for me. However, I'd never imagined that he would ever raise his hand. I blamed myself a little for giving him a boost to act like that by ignoring his previous actions in order to avoid an argument. I had settled down in my own little apartment. My job was paying well, and Austin also had to pay me a lot of money. I had compromised a lot to make my marriage successful, but somehow my compromise had begun to strangle me. I was lucky to have gotten out of it before harming myself even more.